How's it going, everyone? My name's Sam. If you haven't seen the channel before, I typically talk about finances. I talk about cryptos and stocks and macro analysis and macro economy. But today I want to talk to you about my Tesla. I had a problem recently, which I want to talk about. It's actually not the cheapest problem, but I want to talk about that, talk about the car in general, and kind of my process owning a Tesla vehicle and what I think about it now after about 1 year. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on that bell notification underneath the video, and hit the like button to spread this out to more people. Now, if you're looking at buying a Tesla, I'll leave a link underneath the video. It's a referral link, so that way we both get some money for you buying a Tesla. I just want to say off the bat, they are beautiful cars, they're great to drive, super safe, and they have gotten a lot cheaper with the US giving a federal tax credit of $7,500. Certain states have even more on top of that. So if I were to go buy the same vehicle I bought a year ago, it'd be about 20 to 40% cheaper depending on where I live. So I would highly suggest, if you're looking at getting one, use the link underneath. First, I want to talk about one problem that I have with Tesla cars that I really would like to see fixed, because it's something that I run into a lot. Then I'll talk you through my overall experience owning a Tesla and what happened with my repairs recently. So Tesla's overall fantastic. I love the car. One major problem that I have, though, and it's not life or death, it's just a quality of life thing, is it cannot read certain stop signs. If you didn't know, there's something called auto steer, where you can double tap down on the cruise button and it keeps you in between different lines. It keeps you at a certain speed as well. Now, around me, I live in the country in Michigan, or kind of in between cities. There's a lot of country. So a lot of the time we'll have country roads that aren't, that don't have really good signage for how fast you're supposed to go. A lot of the time in cities, heading out of cities, they'll say like 45 mile per hour ends. So the Tesla picks it up as 45 miles per hour. So I can only go up to 50 miles per hour. And there's no way for me to scroll up past that. At least it won't let me a lot of the time on auto steer. So I have to eventually just put it on cruise control. I can go faster and then put it on cruise control and it will stay there, but I can't put it on auto steer, which is kind of a pain in the butt, because sometimes I just don't want to have to, pay as much attention. I just want to put it on auto steer and cruise for 15 miles, but it just won't read those types of signs, which is something that I think will probably be improved in future updates. But it's something I'd like to see sooner rather than later, because I run into this every single time I leave my house. So that's one problem. Another thing is this is kind of an expensive thing to set up in your garage. At least it can be. This isn't really a problem with Tesla. It's just neither of the two houses that I've had have had an easy to install charger. You buy the charger for $500 or so. You can set it up with an electrician, but the first house I had cost about $2,600, I believe it was, because there wasn't enough room on my panel. So it does get pretty expensive. Then I sold the house. So I sold the house like 6 months or maybe a year after I put that in. So that's a pretty big payment to be made for selling the house soon thereafter. And on my new house, I still had to pay about $1,600 on top of the cost of the charger to run the electricity out to the garage. So that is something that hopefully will get cheaper over time. I think it will, as more and more electricians work with Tesla and know how to do this. And there are more and more jobs that are done just for this. As more and more Teslas hit the road, more and more people will pay, and then the margins will probably come down and we won't have to pay as much over time. And that's kind of just a one-time fee unless you sell houses. So I'm fine paying that, but it is something that, I wasn't really aware of at the beginning, that it could be several $1,000s just to have this installed. Overall, though, before we get to the big repairs, I do love the car. It's definitely a conversation starter. We have a cottage up north of us, and every time I'm there, usually I have some conversation about Tesla or about electric vehicles. People ask if I'm going to ever go back, and what are some of my thoughts about this or that. And it is really fun. It's fun to take people out. Everyone wants to be part of the Tesla, or wants to try out the Tesla. And overall, a lot of people are just impressed by it. It's something that I don't even really notice anymore, how fast it is. I have a Model 3 Performance Edition, but I do notice it when other people are in the car because they're not expecting it. And a lot of the time I'll just be at a light and I'll just hit the accelerator. I don't go foot to the floor or anything, and I'm just taking off from other cars without even really trying. Now, I will say certain parts of the Tesla are not as resilient or durable as I would hope. For example, the tires aren't great. They're easy to pop. They're high performance tires. And we'll talk about that in a second, but also the wheels get easily scratched. And at my last house, I had a very narrow driveway on a busy street. So you kind of had to move out into the other lane to then swerve back into the driveway. And sometimes I wasn't able to do that. So a couple of times early on, I didn't hit the curb, but I was a little bit too close to it, and it scrapes the wheels really easily. I've done that in other cars and they're absolutely fine, but the rims themselves can get scraped really easily, and the paint itself isn't very resilient, not very durable. So I did just, at one point I was parked a little bit too close in a garage, and I just went backwards, I reversed, and I just scraped like a little bit of the rubber, and it left a mark on the car too. So that is something that hopefully will get better over time too, but those are really my own issues for living on a busy street and having to do that, and then, also scraping against that rubber that one time. Now, I will say I don't plan on going back to gas-powered cars. I think my wife's next car will also probably be an electric if that's possible, if she's willing to take one. Of course, there is some, I don't want to say range anxiety. Some people always ask, like, how far can you go, that kind of stuff. I don't really get worried about taking the Tesla far distances. We've done that before, but sometimes you just don't want to have to charge anywhere for 30 minutes or have to deal with it. So sometimes we do take our Toyota Camry instead. Now, that will probably happen less and less over time as there are more and more chargers, and I just realized, okay, it's going to be super easy, and it won't take long. Their charging is getting faster as well. So that's something that will probably continue to go away over time, and then I won't even think about it maybe a few years from now. I will say too, they are pretty low maintenance. You don't have to go in and get a lot of things fixed. You don't have to go get oil changes. So I've driven 14,000 miles, and the only time that I've actually had to go to the repair shop are for my tires. So this is the problem I had recently that was kind of expensive. Just last night, I got a notification coming back from the grocery store that my tire pressure was low. And I realized that it was low an hour or so before, but it was maybe around 30 PSI. The rest of the tires were around 36. So I thought, maybe something was just causing it to go down a little bit. It was colder that day too. But then I got a notification that it was at 23. So it told me to pull off to the side of the road. Now I was close to my house, so I just watched it all the way home, and it was still around 23, 24. So I drove the last 10 minutes, I got home, and I was able to schedule some maintenance in the app. So if you didn't know, if you're not a Tesla owner, you can just schedule the maintenance straight in the Tesla app, and they'll actually come and tow your car for free. This is something that I didn't really realize. It's called roadside assistance. They come directly to your house, tow for free, and then they'll take it to the Tesla facility closest to you. Mine's about 30 minutes away. And then you'll get messages asking, basically like following up on what's wrong with the car, if there's anything else they see. Now, I had one tire that was low. I have that replaced. It's somewhat expensive. It's about $520 to replace one tire on the high performance model. They are very low profile tires, which is probably part of the reason they're expensive. And then they noticed a bulge in my back tire as well. So they asked if I wanted to replace that, and I did. So it was about $1,000, $1,040. Now, I also had something similar. I had my tire get a nail in it about a year ago. So that has meant that I've had to replace 3 tires in about 1 year. Now, I don't think that these were from nails this time. I'm not exactly sure. They said that the bulge in the back tire could be from a pothole. We have lots of potholes in Michigan. It's not anything that I've noticed. I haven't been going over more potholes or anything like that, but it is a little bit frustrating because they're not as durable as other tires I've had in the past. I've actually never had a tire pop before now, and I've been driving for over 10 years. So it is kind of odd that I have 3 in the same year with Tesla. But I will say it is very easy. If you're willing to pay to replace a tire, like I said, it's very easy. The whole process was really easy. They came and towed it. They really didn't need me at all. They got back to me within half an hour once I said I needed it to be towed away. And they were able to schedule that all through the app. I can pay in the app. I don't even have to go in during business hours to pick up the vehicle. The Teslas unlock from your phone. So I can just show up and pick up the car and just drive away, and I just pay through the app. So the whole process for repairs is super easy, super convenient, and you don't have to pay to tow, which is super nice. And that's nice to know in the future too. If I do need a tow, it's free. Now, part of that is because they don't actually allow you to, or they don't have a spot to have a tire. So you can't replace the tires yourself if you're stuck on the side of the highway, but they do work 365 days a year. So I just wanted to give you some of my thoughts on the Tesla after having it for 1 year. As I said, it's a beautiful car. It's really fast. It's fun to drive. It is safer than most vehicles, just about every vehicle out there. And we haven't gotten in a car crash or anything like that, but it does beep if you touch a line or if you're accelerating when the car in front of you is braking, that kind of thing. So it definitely is helpful there. And if you want to get a Tesla yourself, if you're wondering where to go, I'll put a link underneath the video where we both get something for you buying a vehicle with that link. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.